all aboard, everybody. We're about to be going into London while trying to able to hop on the train. So hopefully we can sit back and relax and enjoy this lovely view from the mountainsides, or to be more specifically, playing the actual board that is based off from likely a train ride. So I guess that makes it pretty obvious of why we're here in the first place. So hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I am the one and only Maxi here once again, and I'm back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos as always. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Party 8 for the Nintendo Wii. So last weekend is the fact that we did manage to win through my least favorite board in the entire game, which appears to be body forms of King Boo's Haunted Hideaway, despite the fact that also that I've managed able to stumble across myself COVID positive of mine from the likes of in last week, which was bad enough that was actually on the worst board I've ever experienced in the entire game so far. Now on top of all that stuff though, despite that, I somehow managed to able to still win regardless of anything else. So yeah, today and tomorrow actually, we're going to be hitting on to the forms of probably is by far is my favorite board in the entire game. This one appears to be Shy Guy's Perplex Express. So, as far as the actual board suggests, we're going to be traversing for the actual train itself, and your objective remains kind of the same, although, except the fact that we're going on to something like a leniency, just like in the forms of how it does it on Goomba's Booty Boardwalk, except that, well, relatively speaking, that we can able to traverse into other spaces here and there. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get this thing to it. And it's a good thing that we're going to be going into my favorite board in this game. It's probably because, well, it's a good thing I've managed able to still retain my COVID negative test. So, that's a good thing. Especially noticeable about the fact that we're going to be exploring through the most amazing board ever when it comes to this game itself. So, anyways, let's get into the actual board itself. Basically, like I said, we're going to be able to actually traversing through the train itself, while going for the forms of those specific coaches that does have some different amounts of spaces. So in this case, we have the second coach right there that does contain the only lucky space on that coach, and then there's also quite a lot of happening spaces in this board, which I will say this is by far the best aspect about this board in my opinion, just because the board events are endless, ranging from the forms of a detective C, or in this case a detective, by able to actually find a criminal who actually stole something from Holy Koopa. And speaking of Holy Koopa, that if you meet up with her, basically you, assuming if you're able to actually get the candy with you, you can able to exchange your candy into coins, very similar to the forms of DK's Treetop Temple board, except the fact that there is no, well, you do have an option, you can able to select yes or no, if you decide able to accept it that way. So, yeah, at least that's a cool thing to able to notice in this from the get-go. And on top of all that stuff though, there's also some quite few happening events, such as for instance that you can able to actually go from top or bottom, depending on what specific ways you want to go to. And also, there's a event space where basically you can able to actually get coins if you go on top of the coaches. So that way you can able to get, you know, a large variety of coins that way. So, oh wait a second, please don't tell me, oh my god, that's the third time in a row when somebody got very lucky on the very first turn on the entire board. Ah, jeez. First we have Goomba's Booty Boardwalk and King Boo's Haunted Hideaway, and now Shy Guy's Perplex Express. Seriously, what is up with number 9 is always to be like a luckiest number to able to actually come across into for the sake of the forms to try to get the lucky spaces to begin with. Like, I know for the fact that relatively speaking, that it's just like in Goomba's Booty Boardwalk, except the fact that, well, Yoshi just got very lucky during on that first turn, as you probably already know. So, in this case, Blooper got very lucky to able to not only obtain 9 from his dice roll, but also land on the lucky space, which, speaking of the lucky space though, that is by far the easiest space to able to actually just try to land on, especially if you manage to able to retain yourself the actual Slow-Go candy. That way you can able to actually instantly manage to able to get into the lucky space for almost instant. So yeah, that might be something worth noting for, especially noticeable about the fact that I think what the lucky space on this particular board we hit on to right now basically the train somehow stops for a bit, and then basically it drops the passenger into that particular lucky route. And then, as always, you get a whole bunch of coins, and when you meet up with the Forms of the Shy Guy conductor, that way you can get a star for free. So, so yeah, you get the idea of how this entire lucky route actually takes us to. So, although I'm not usually kind of perfect just yet though, when it comes to the forms of my, you know, with the forms of that particular feelings right now, I'm still a little bit croaky with my throat at the moment, but hopefully until whenever we get to the halfway point of this entire board, then I should be able to actually feel better by then. So, it just might take some time though, it will take some time, so... And as you can see on screen, I'm going to be selecting Hammor Bro for this board, which, yes, before when Super Mario Party was a thing, and except the fact that the biggest differences between Mario Party 8 than Super Mario Party is the fact that in Mario Party 8, you do need to unlock him, and then as far as Super Mario Party is concerned, you get him from the start, so... And speaking of such though, here's the happening space I was showing to you right now. And basically, you do have an option to able to actually give away your candy if you wanted to, but I might as well able to not accept it, because I'm actually going to keep that for later, assuming if I was trying to able to land on the lucky space or something like that. So, speaking of Wario, he's going to land on the same spot as I do, so, except he doesn't have any candies whatsoever, so... Meanwhile, in the lucky route, as far as what Blooper has already come across into, and he gets a 9, again, except the fact that he now got himself his first star, thanks to that particular lucky route that he got from the very first turn of this board, so... Seriously, that's the third time in a row this is actually happening, so... Anyway, so it looks like Blooper was in first, so... Oh, speaking of those opponents, as you can tell, I've decided able to actually bring back Toad and Blooper ever since in DK's Treetop Temple board. So, just feel like that we have not seen these two for a while. And also, I've managed able to finally bring Wario in the CPU department, because we have not seen him in action since then. So because of that though, we figure we're also able to actually just to select... well, obviously I'm still selecting Hammor Bro, of course, but relatively speaking, that's as far as I can usually say about it, so... Alright, Power Trip, we've already played this before, but except the fact that I'm usually going to be playing as a different character, so... Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to actually see both Hammor Bro and Blooper joining together on this entire board as in the unlockable characters route, so... Although, unfortunately, though, it's the fact that this will be the last time we're gonna be- Ah, darn it, I just got cornered! Ah, I was a bit too hasty on that front, but hopefully that the other two will able to actually just to pass this. It looks like so far so good for them anyway, except Blooper, because he just got touched by the electrical parts on the hover cart or hovercraft and stuff. Come on, Wario! Alright! Good job, Wario. Good job. Especially that you just somehow managed to outrun Toad's hovercraft and stuff like that, which I appreciate about you, man. But anyway, a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that is the fact that today's day is, of course, the 23rd of April today. In this case, in 2022 today, we're getting pretty close to the point where we're pretty much almost at the, well, the 5th month of the year already. So, well, despite the fact that, you know, like I said, I think that this month on April so far for me, though, is actually going pretty mediocre. So, because of that, though, speaking of mediocre, I just got a pretty mediocre 1. Should be expected with most low rolls and such. Alright, so it looks like Wario's got a 6. By the way, I really love the actual, depending on what coaches you're able to actually entering inside, that it does have a lot of variety of those specific different rooms you can able to explore through. So, yeah, it seems pretty cool though. Especially noticeable about the fact that, wow, and also I really love the music in this board as well. It's almost like very atmospheric. In fact, it does remind me of the similar kind of thing from the likes of in Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. If you ever played that game in Chapter 6, that was by far the most uniquest chapter ever, because it requires a bit of a detectives and stuff, and maybe sometimes you're able to come across into quite a few stops because of the forms of how the fact that you have to able to traverse through different stations in order to progress, and then that way you would able to stumble across the forms of the 6th. Is it the 6th Crystal Star? Is it? I have no idea. It has been about a couple of days since I actually last played Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, just because, well, relatively speaking, because I'm usually just playing other games, that's the only problem. So because of that though, which I just really wish if that game were able to get re-released on the Switch. I mean, usually it might be impossible because, well, I've honestly have no words, so unfortunately, some of my teammates are not doing a very good job trying to able to dodge the one-player shooting plane, so, but at the very least, I'm pretty much good at it, so we still managed to able to classify for winning this, so, but I digress. Oh yeah, and another thing I would like to mention, I do apologize for that particular yesterday's uploading schedule from the likes of Kirby and the Forgotten Land Let's Play. It's most likely because, once again, my microphone is somewhat out of sync on that particular gameplay footage. And I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous now. I'm guessing it's mainly because I had too much edits to do, especially noticeable. It's bad enough that if you try to able to put in too much video clips onto this very outdated version of, let's just say, Rockstar Video Wave update, then most of the time though, it never fixed the actual problem where sometimes that if my computer decides to able to struggling trying to run certain things, specifically ranging from 1080p videos and stuff like that, which is more advanced more than anything, and then most of the time though, it just keeps on like, you know, stutters for a bit, and on top of all that stuff though, it just feels annoyingly inconsistent, so alright, so let's see what's in the shop. I don't feel like trying to buy anything because until the next turn, I should able to actually get my first star. So, oh, by the way, if you land on the DK space, then basically what happens is the fact that the actual Shy Guy's train will able to get replaced by the forms of the DK's train, in this case Donkey Kong's train. And then basically, if you meet up with DK at the very end of that particular train exploration, then you would able to get a star for free. So, unlike the forms of how it does it on, let's just say the Shy Guy's conductor train, basically you have to force to pay 20 coins for a star, just like in any other, like, well, let's just say, just like in DK's Treetop Temple, so, yeah, that's to be expected at this point, so. Oh yeah, this is the happening space I was talking about. And basically, if you are lucky enough, if you are managed able to get on top of these coaches, or the top portion of this board, basically you can get yourselves a random, you know, number of coins, like Toad's got 5 and then Wario got 2. So, pretty cool though, especially noticeable you can get a whole bunch of coins in this place, so. Although, until whenever we get to the next board, until next weekend, by the end of April, or the beginning of May, then we can pretty much expect about the fact that we need to farm a lot, I mean a lot of coins to our disposal, so. Anyway, so it looks like Blooper's got the Dulo candy right here, so to be expected, it's self-explanatory right here. So he might as well able to use it to duel against with someone. By the way, since I really love the music in this board sometimes though, because obviously I always listen to that, especially noticeable if I was trying to able to, you know, try to relax and stuff like that, or even especially noticeable if I was gonna get onto the train, if I decided to go into London and stuff like that, then obviously I always listen to that every time when I go into any other trains, so. Anyway, enough about that, time for Shake It Up again, so, motion thing again. I can't believe this is actually our, I don't know if this is like the 4th time playing this minigame though, because I have no idea why this minigame gets a lot of popularity these days. Or maybe it's because of utilizing the motion controls to begin with, so I guess that makes sense, I guess. So we're not doing too bad so far when it comes to minigames victoryness, I guess, so. But I digress. Oh yeah, as far as the forms of the Star Battle Arena on this particular board, or in this case the dual battle version of this board, I believe the rules on this board is actually a little bit different. And that is the fact that I'm pretty sure the objective on duel mode on this particular board is the fact that I believe it's kind of like the similar thing as in the forms of how it does it in Goomer's Booty Boardwalk. That basically you have to collect a certain amount of coins in order to be able to get the star. Or in this case, this time around though, rather than just meeting up with Captain Goomba in order to be able to make your way to the very end, so instead that you need to collect 50 coins and then you meet up with Holy Koopa and then you get a star that way. So yeah, it's very similar to the forms of how it does it on Goomba's Booty Boardwalk, except you don't go into the forms of that particular the leniency and stuff like that, I guess. But even though it's been a very long time since I actually known about these facts of between Goomba's Booty Boardwalk and especially noticeable with Shy Guy's Perplex Express, but I remember good things about the forms of Shy Guy's Perplex Express just because, well, some people seem to say this is probably their fan favorite board next to Cooper's Tycoon Town until specifically next weekend, so hopefully you'll be pretty excited to able to see that board in action until, like I said, next weekend. So alright, so meanwhile for Blooper, he's also getting himself the star from the likes of that particular Shy Guy conductor, so yeah, as to be expected. And I believe if you land on the Bowser's base though, then the train will get replaced by the Bowser train, and then basically if someone gets the star, then if you meet up with Bowser, then you lose a star if you meet up with Bowser. You know, just like in forms of how it does it in King Boo's Haunted Hideaway, and I believe also the other boards as well, I guess. So, but we'll save that conversations until whatever we get to the next few weekends up ahead. So, well, to be more specifically in the beginning of May, or at the very end of April, or even maybe just at the very moment in the majority of May. So, yeah, that's to be expected. So, alright, another 4-player minigame, and this time we are going back into Sick and Twisted again. So, there's going to be a lot of repeats every once in a while with those minigames these days. Although, because of how the fact that I know we've already played every single one of them, so as a result though, there are a couple of exceptions though, such as for instance that we're still missing quite a few minigames based off from 2 vs 2 variety, so either way though, we can able to expect how this has turned out. And also with the forms of the majority of the dual minigames that we are still currently missing on, well, mind you, we actually have found quite a couple of them, thanks to the forms of you know, any forms of in the last board that we actually did, in this case my least favorite board in the game, that relatively speaking that we already done the forms of locomotives and stuff like that, so, but I digress. Oh, goodness gracious me. I'm pretty sure the bullet bill always shows up, assuming if I was in the lead, so I think I'm also able to keep it steady when it comes to likely for the actual movements, I guess. And it looks like both me, Toad, and Blooper is the winner. Just like in forms of how it does it on that particular Silvering Skies minigame that we already did play through, so yeah, not too shabby right there. So anyway, a few things I want to explain when it comes to the forms of today's discussion. That is the fact that, well, relatively speaking, I'll save that conversation about the forms of that DLC stuff from Sonic Origins until for later. But for now, let's talk about the forms of that other topics I would like to mention about. That I suppose I forgot to mention about ever since and during the course of the majority of Kirby and the Forgotten Land Let's Play. And that is the fact that, well, relatively speaking, let's start with the forms of the positives first. First off, they actually revealed 3 new Sega Mega Drive games coming onto the Nintendo Switch Online membership services. And this time what appears to be buddy forms of Shining Force 2 and Space Harrier 2, and finally, most notably, for a Sonic game, which appears to be Sonic Spinball. No idea why they've got Sonic Spinball on there, but I was expecting they might actually bring Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in there, because obviously Sonic the Hedgehog 3 obviously do manage to retain multiplayer, so because of that though, for the likes of the competition mode. but apparently though it doesn't look like it yet. But luckily though, like as far as what I've already mentioned about this loads of times, ever since in Kirby and the Forgotten Land Let's Play yesterday, that basically though we will finally give ourselves the opportunity to finally play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles on the go on the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, that should be exciting. I just get a horrible feeling about the fact that, well, it looks like that Blooper might potentially steal my Slowgo candy, so... Is he? Yep, he did. But very lucky at that point, too. Ah, darn you, Blooper. I hate you sometimes. Especially noticeable that you're about to be right, you know, trying to able to have vendetta against me. Or maybe something else for that matter. But anyway... Alright, so we got 2 versus 2 here, so good thing that we actually get into this format, because obviously we need to start playing some new minigames for 2 versus 2, so in this case, we have one of them, Booting Gallery. So this seems like an interesting minigame to play through. Alright, so let's check the rules here. Make your way through the house exterminating Red Boos. The first team to defeat the Red Boo in a basement wins. Teamwork tip: when facing several Red Boos, focus on a different side of the field than your partner. So basically it's all about coordination and stuff like that. So yeah, of all the actual minigames I did somehow manage to play in Mario Party 8, I think this is easily without doubt the best one I've ever played. I have no idea what that is. It's mainly because of how the fact that, well, I just really love the actual, I wouldn't say like a detour from the likes of the actual mansion itself, but either way though, it knows what it stands for the most part, especially noticeable about the fact that I was pretty good at this minigame, because kind of thinking about it, this minigame does remind me of a similar kind of minigame from the likes of the forms of Wii Party, except the fact that, well, rather than take control of your Miis, instead we're actually going to be taking control of the Mario characters or something like that, So yeah, you get the idea of how this minigame is actually plays out to be. So anyways, let's go ahead and take care of the forms of those Red Boos here. And then, sure enough, oh, it's a trap floor. But at the very least, we're now onto the basement, so... And there's the actual big pink boo, or red boo rather, is what it's called, so yeah, we're actually going to be kind of close to him after the events of Mario Party 6 or Mario Party 7. So, at least as far as I can usually think about that. So, come on, there we go. Whew, that was actually pretty close, because I almost first thought that Toad and Wario might able to actually catch up, but regardless of such, we made it into in time. So there we go. And I suppose I should probably mention about this also is the fact that, relatively speaking, that when it comes to forms of trying to sort out the out of sync commentary for the likes of my Kirby and the Forgotten Land Let's Play so far, I definitely need to fix that at some point. So because of that though, so just in case I can able to actually instantly manage to able to get the corrections for trying to keep up with the actual commentary itself. Because, well, relatively speaking, it's just the fact that it's so annoyingly inconsistent when it comes to likely that out of all the actual Let's Plays I've ever done so far, at least currently anyway, that usually Kirby and the Forgotten Land is always the Let's Play I always have struggled with when it comes to likely, well, luckily the footage is fine, but it's just the fact that trying to keep up with the actual commentary in sync just feels a bit kind of all over the place. Like, I know for the fact that I usually had that microphone for such a long time, ever since in back in the day, in the likes of at the very end of 2019, and then 2020 and onwards. But relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that it can be annoyingly inconsistent sometimes with all that stuff, so... Anyway, so it looks like Blooper is going to land on that happening space right there, which I guessing that one of those cards were able to get pushed back, so... Oh, and by the way, there's that particular line, as you can see on screen, that as far as what Kamek has mentioned about, since that this is the UK version of the game, so this means that back in the day, that was actually the most controversial thing back in the day in 2007. Now, normally in the forms of the American version, that basically, I'm probably not gonna able to get my video demonetized or anything else to be more specific, but there's actually that S word that it does manage to show up only in the American version of the game. Well, technically speaking, on the first edition in Mario Party 8, back in the day in 2007 that is, which I can't even believe it's been about 15 years ago when this game first came out, along with the forms of Sonic Rush Adventure, Mario Party DS, and all the other jazz. So, anyway, enough about that. Because there's actually that specific S word that usually says like, well, again, I'm not gonna say it because I might as well get demonetized if I say this, but basically, in the later editions for Mario Party 8, that every now and then that is actually changed in the later editions for Mario Party 8, because in the forms of in the Day 1 edition, I think that was in May during that time, that basically it gets like that one specific word that apparently is actually very offensive in the UK version. So as a result though, they managed able to change the word into erratic. So because of that though, it just makes it a little bit more not so offensive word in the UK version, but the offensive word in the UK anyway is something to do with that specific S word. Although luckily though, in the American copies of the game, does manage able to keep that. So yeah, I can totally see why that particular word has been replaced in the UK version into erratic. So that makes it pretty obvious, because obviously with that S word is actually rather offensive for the UK owners, so understandably so. And I get the feeling that Toad is gonna able to flump me by losing half of my coins because I was just about to able to... Oh, he got very lucky too, because he lands on that lucky space. Ah, darn you, Toad. Although I do like you, don't get me wrong, but you just got very lucky during that specific dice roll. But anyway, I think that's as far as I can usually try to describe about the forms of the another differences between the forms of the UK version than the NTSC counterparts in the American version. That is that specific word I just mentioned to you earlier, so... Although, for some reason, back in the forms of in Mario Party 10 Let's Play, I'm pretty sure that both Sonic and Piglet just somehow accidentally say something a bit rude in the UK release of the forms of, well, you know what that S word is as far as I mentioned about? Well, look it up on Mario Wikipedia if you probably already know what I'm talking about, so... I'm sure that most people already know about this, especially noticeable in the UK country already knows, so... Alright, so looks like Wario gets an 8, and once again he meets up with Holy Koopa right here, and it looks like he's gonna give away his bit-sized candy to Holy Koopa and give it to him as in 10 coins reward. That seems nice for her, I guess. Alright, so Blooper gets a 3, so in this case he lands on a red space again. And by the way, I really love the actual, the Hammor Bro's taunt voice. It's actually going like, really hilarious and all that stuff though, but either way though, I have no idea why he's saying things a bit weirdly enough. Oh, so close to play that new minigame, but we're going back to Sugar Rush again, sorry. Sorry, I just got a bit of a tingling throat still, because, yeah, there might be still plenty of times where my, commentary gets a little bit awkward at times for this particular board so far, but, then again though, hopefully until by that time until tomorrow, I should be better by then, but, it's just the fact that sometimes I still manage able to go across into bad coughs every now and then, which is annoyingly consistent, especially noticeable because since I've had, COVID positive for since about a week ago almost, so but at least I'm still negative, so but it's just the fact that that cough can take a really long time to recover, so which I was a little bit worried about, because if I was about to be planning to go somewhere, mainly likely going to the cinemas again to hopefully try to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie again, so that way I can able to actually get my best viewing, and as far as everything else goes, that's as far as I can say about it. Although, there was some bit of unfortunate news recently. That is the fact that what I've heard, that the Cyberpunk 2077, as far as DLC expansion goes, I think that particular DLC has been delayed. So, Yeah, gee, no wonder why that Cyberpunk 2077, or to be more specifically, 2077, basically, that game has been horribly, bugged at launch. So as a result, though, I can totally see why a lot of people seem to get a lot of disappointment, back in the day, during the forms of that particular worst year we've ever come across. So yeah, and on top of all that stuff though, unfortunately, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, sadly that particular film has been delayed until 2023. And can you get the actual wildcard guess of what causes it? Well, if you say COVID, that's the obvious answer. So I'm getting sick of the forms of those delays every now and then, especially noticeable that'll be the common thing every now and then, even at the very beginning of the 2020s era. So because of that though, I just feel like that the beginning portion of 2020s era for me though is pretty bleak. So as far as the actual things itself is concerned. So anyways, now I've got my another star, so that pretty much leads me to 2 stars. So at the very least, that's something, I guess. Alright, Wario, what are you gonna go for? You go for a 4. Although, you'll be forced to able to go up, so... And by the way, there's no option for you to be able to actually select yes or no on this happening event. That because of that, though, you always have to be forced to able to actually just go up. Or go down if you're about to be going on to the, if you're in the top portion of the board, so... Alright, Blooper, don't you dare get yourselves... okay, so you're about to able to duel against with somebody. Alright, so let's see what numbers you're about to get. 4 and 10. And he's probably gonna duel against with Toad right here. I think that's what he was doing. Fair point. Fair point right there. And let's watch them play a duel minigame, and let's see what duel minigame they're about to be playing. In this case, flip the chair. Since we've already played a minigame before, but now they're gonna be duel against each other in the duel version of this minigame, so... Kinda weird, able to actually just to cut down the size with the split screen into 2, so... yeah, I guess that's pretty much as far as we could say about it. So anyways, let's talk about the forms of that particular DLC for Sonic Origins they've actually got. As far as what I've briefly mentioned about since and yesterday in Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that is the fact that, well, obviously you get the main game, of course, and there's also the 100 bonus coins, and there's also mirror mode unlocked, and also hard missions, and letterbox background, character animation in the main menu, and also controls over the main menu islands, which that's also something new is actually happening in Sonic Origins, is the fact that I really love the fact that they obviously contains the 3D islands from their respective games, so pretty cool actually. Oh, actually gotta think about it, it was actually the camera controls over the main menu islands, as far as I would able to actually say that, so... And there's also character animations during Music Islands, and finally, additional music tracks from Mega Drive and Genesis titles, so... But here's the most awkward thing about the forms of certain DLC packs they've got. Basically, as far as what I mentioned this earlier, that the Digital Deluxe Edition does not contain every single pieces of it. Although, mind you, for the free DLC, including with your pre-order of the Standard or Deluxe Edition, thankfully there is some content you can get from the likes of 100 bonus coins, mirror mode, as well as the forms of the letterbox background. But aside from that though, it just feels a bit confusing at first, especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking, most people seem to able to get confused and not happy with the actual locked out DLC and stuff like that. Similar to the forms of how it does it on most recent Sega games every now and then, like, you know, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Mania, and also Sonic Colors Ultimate for the exclusive remix music from Planet Wisp. So, I guess that's something, I guess. And, oh, and by the way, with that particular expansion DLC for Cyberpunk 2077, it's been officially delayed until next year, by the way, in 2023, so, which also applies onto the forms of Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, is also going to be delayed until 2023, and on top of that, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 also got delayed in 2023, so, gee, no wonder why that 2023 might actually be a little bit more expansive than the forms of how it does it on that pretty lackluster start on the likes of the forms of, you know, like I said, in 2020's era so far, from the likes of the beginning portion and 2021. Well, I still find 2021 to be an okay year in my opinion, but it's not the best either. So because of that though, yeah, that's to be expected, so. And yeah, I somehow managed to win on Snipe for the picking. Especially noticeable, I'm very good when it comes to the forms to try to pull off some accurate shots for trying to aim for 100 and all that. Alright, Toad, what are you gonna do? You got a 10. Or at least on the upside is though, you don't land on the lucky space again. So, unlike when you usually use your, you know, the Flump candy and all that stuff though. So, anyway, so I think I might as well use my twice candy, so just in case I can able to use so many of the candies as much as I can. And on top of all that stuff though, hopefully I can able to get good numbers to able to catch up and stuff like that. So 7 and 3 makes 10. Okay number to have, I guess, but I kinda wish I was able to get something more than that, but that's okay. And conveniently enough, I was gonna land on the red space as well, so anyways, let's see what's in the items here. I would like to go for slow go candy, but I think I might as well go for duo candy for the best, because I figure I might as well able to duel against with Blooper on the next turn, especially that we have not seen that much duel minigames throughout yet. So, that might be my alteration when it comes to likely buying that item to begin with, so. Alright, so Wario gets a 7. And he obviously lands on the blue space. So I bet that Blooper might able to actually land on the blue space as well by, or even maybe, just maybe, try to land on the DK space if possible. Or maybe he was just a little bit too late on his front when it comes to aiming for 2. But hopefully we'll try to see that DK event at some point, assuming if someone will able to actually, you know, try to land on that space, so. Alright, next minigame we have. Okay, we're going back to King of the Thrill again. Since that we've actually lost last time, because I wasn't usually prepared for the fact that I wasn't expecting that one of those computer players managed to pull off a kick at me, but hopefully I should able to win this, I guess. Alright, here we go. Darn it! Come on. Darn it! No! It doesn't help about the fact that Toad didn't beat Wario either, so once again, that the entire team wins because they come across each other. I need to get a little bit of some practice on this minigame next time around, especially noticeable that it's always to the point that every single time that I was about to be able to ambush the actual opponent, and then basically I always get myself owned got kicked by one of those opponents, so oh well, no big deal. Alright, so 7 that Toad has got. And that might actually give me a chance that I'm also able to duel against with Blooper on the duel minigame. So I figure I might as well use that, so. And God knows, we might as well able to get ourselves even more stars, just like in the forms of how it does it on King Boo's Haunted Hideaway board. That basically I was doing really well on that board, despite the fact that how luck-based that board was. Oh yeah, and since I got the double, I don't get anything if I get a double. So only for, you know, twice candy and thrice candy. So, yeah, that's something that's worth mentioning. Alright, let's see what minigame are we playing next then, huh? Oh, look at that. We have a new minigame. Attention Grabber. I think it's going to be one of those motion-controlled minigames, so get the rescue ship to the shore first by waving as wildly as you can. Fast, small hand movements work better than larger border ones. So, yeah, basically you have to flick the Wii remote left and right, just like that, as you see on that little animation. And then basically that's all you really have to do in this minigame, so... Bit of a wacko fest, huh? So, let's call out for the actual ship. Ah, it hurts my arm if I do this, like, you know, straight into my TV and stuff. It also hurts my wrist too, but somehow we win. So let's swim for it. And hopefully we'll be back onto that pretty safe country or anything else like that. So, I guess that's that. Alright, so let's see if the star shows up. Yep, they showed up. So, let's see if I can aim it just right. And, do I get it? Yay! There goes again! With that 2 stars and all that stuff. So, give me my stars. So now I just simply managed to kick Blooper's butt. How lovely victory I managed to pull this off. It's a good thing that it was also the easiest minigame as well, because there are quite a few luck-based duel games, I'm pretty sure. Well, mind you, there's only like 2 of them to be more specific, so... Oh, Wario also gets the duo candy as well. And it looks like he's also gonna land on the red space, so... And... Oh, another duo candy. Seriously, he just got 2 of these. Gee, no wonder why he's gonna be able to try to use it on. Probably me, I'm guessing. And Blooper got a 3. So, I'm guessing 1 versus 3 minigame, so... I think there's gonna be plenty of times that, basically, we always seem to be able to come across into 1 versus 3 minigames sometimes, or even some occasional 2 versus 2 games there. But regardless of such though, we've already played every single one of them, as far as you probably already noticed, so... Anyway, Thrash and Crash. Trying to avoid so many, obstacles. Again. Alright, here we go. So I'm just gonna have to back up a little. So just in case I don't instantly manage to get hit by, you know, bullet bills, and as well as some very weird, tin cans or anything, to be more specific, and Blooper is already out. Oh my goodness, that was so close. And hopefully... darn it, I'm out. But luckily, Toad was in our team, so we still managed to win regardless. Good job, Toad. Good job again. Especially noticeable just like in the silvering skies, so... Anyway, so I believe turn 11 is done, and I believe we'll now move on to turn 12.